Yeah, so you're saying, but why is it when the Fed prints money and mints their own money and creates inflation,
Mm-hmm.
it's a problem, but when
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Hex is not a problem with minting their own Hex?
Great
Right.
question.
Yeah, I talk about this often. So this is one of my top questions. So it's like this, right? Think about it like a funnel. The closer you are to the source of the water, right? The water in this case is the inflation. The more of that water that you get. Otherwise, it has to trickle through all of these spigots, i.e., middlemen, and a lot of water is going to get lost along the way. And that's the same thing that you see in the legacy finance markets. You have all these middlemen, starting with the primary dealers, and they're the ones that receive the inflation first,
Mm-hmm.
right? And this is the same thing in Bitcoin and Ethereum. The miners receive the inflation first. In Hex, you print your own inflation. So there's nobody there to interfere with the valuation or the value being produced by the system because it's strictly you, the staker, interacting with the smart contract. There is no other intermediary. So this is why the inflation works in an increasing valuation sense with Hex versus what you see in the legacy market, which is an actual inflation disbursement mechanism, but it's dispersing it really when it's not, right? Because what you see is those funds going to parties that are supposed to, provide transmission mechanism, but they don't, right? They take the funds and they pump them in the market and enrich themselves. That's what actually happens.
Hmm.
So instead of seeing inflation devalue the value of Hex, it can't because there's not a bunch of middlemen sucking up the value that you should be getting, right? But in the legacy markets, that's the whole point of the legacy markets. That's why crypto was invented, to eliminate that reality, because that's a reality that we have to deal with every day. That's why the time value of money is negative. It's not positive. Money always loses value over time. It does not gain in value over time. And this is why, again, crypto exists. So if you ever find yourself interacting with middlemen and they're claiming it to be crypto, got some news for you. It's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to
One
go
of the
one
ways that I
more,
look at it is that stakers are being paid to hold up the price, right? And so that's a pretty profound thing. And who are they being paid by? It's the people who want to have the option to be able to sell the price down. And so
Mm-hmm.
that creates a balancing system.
For
yeah.
sure.
And to
Supply and
piggyback on
demand.
what they both said, going into the mechanics, quick math is understand to only whom such inflation is paid to. The simple fact that the sacrifice happened and all those billions of hex, hundreds of billions that got put in that wallet, you need to understand they're going to sit there. So, as a function of a system, they're going to be devalued 3.69 annually. And they're going to be paid to who? The staker class, the people who do what they said they're going to do, the people who respect the truth engine, the people who play the system the way the system is played. This is what this is about. Not to be like overly spiritual, but the problem with the legacy market and all the garbage is those motherfuckers didn't do shit to deserve the inflation. It just happens to be there or know somebody or get the connection and this and that. That's why it's
True.
bad. Inflation is not inherently bad. If you understand economy and economics, it's actually a good thing to have inflation if that inflation is productive, is rewarded to those who deserve it the most and those who are actually productive. So that way, the one gets like playing Monopoly, but then if the guy with all the wealth, he doesn't need to do nothing, he just sits around, then it's like the game can't play. We need to be able to incentive new people to want to become rich as well and have that incentive. So the power with Hex is and not to be biblical or anything, but the inflation is only paid to the most worthy in retrospect to how they played the system. Irrespective if you have $5, $10, $1 million, longer pays better. As you guys know me, every time I tweet, almost every tweet, because repetition matters, I always put LPB no matter what. Because I want you to remember what this is about. You're delaying gratification. You're staking longer. Therefore, the system recognizes and say, you know what? For every unit of energy that you're staking, aka dollar, the longer you are staking, the more I will reward you from that future inflation that's coming from the system.